Hi everyone! In this video, I'll be talking about ways to connect ideas in English. Let's read this text. How does each sentence begin? Do the ideas flow smoothly? These are the questions I want you to think about as we read this paragraph. William loves cooking. He likes to cook for his family and friends. He prepares dinner every night. He can make desserts. He's a good chef. He took cooking classes. He wants to work in a restaurant one day. How does each sentence begin? We have William, then he, then he, then he, then he again, he, and he. It's getting repetitious, right? When we begin sentences the same way over and over again, the text doesn't flow smoothly. We don't see the connections between the ideas. They just sound like a series of different thoughts. So, in this lesson, we're going to talk about how we can get ideas to flow smoothly and make the connections between ideas very clear. Yeah, so the ideas did not flow smoothly here. They weren't connected. So we're going to work on fixing that. I'm going to talk about 3 connecting strategies. One is to use transition words and phrases. Second, pointing words. And finally, key terms and phrases. First, let's talk about transition words and phrases. You may have studied these already in your grammar classes, I'm not sure, but I'm going to go over them. These are words like also, in addition, moreover, furthermore. You can use these to show that you want to give an additional idea. It's similar to and. The students read articles every week, or the students read articles every week. In addition, they write paragraphs and essays. This is the same as also or and. So we can combine these sentences with this transition word. However, nevertheless, these are similar to but. They show contrast. The students sometimes need help with homework. However, they are afraid to ask the teacher. So you can use however. It's similar to but as you can see, it begins a sentence. Similarly, in contrast, we can use these when we want to show something similar or something's different. Jerry loves watching YouTube videos to learn English. In contrast, Sarah prefers reading books in English. You can also use a semicolon instead of a period before transition words. For instance, or for example, the students wrote excellent stories. For example, Maria shared an interesting story about... So here I'm using for example. I'm giving one example of an excellent story. Therefore, as a result, I took ESL classes, period. As a result, comma, I know English very well. So, this is the result, as a result. One mistake students make is they don't put a period or a comma here. Remember that we use these transition words to join 2 complete sentences, and you want to have the correct punctuation, either a period or a semicolon. Let's practice. How can we combine these sentences with however, for example, or also? William likes to cook different foods. Last week he made Mexican and Spanish dishes, and the week before that it was Thai food. Here I could add for example, because I'm giving examples of different foods, like Mexican and Spanish dishes, Thai food. How can we combine these sentences with however, for example, or also? William likes to cook different foods. He likes to play different sports. Which word would work best here? I'm going to use also because this is an additional thing he likes. William likes to cook different foods. Also, he likes to play different sports. So it's important to know the relationship between the sentences to decide on a linking word. We also have transitional phrases. So this has a transition and also a noun or a gerund after it. And you can make them specific to your topic. These ones are followed by nouns, pronouns, or gerunds. These are some common ones: because of, as a result of, in addition to, as well as, despite, in spite of. And they're all followed by nouns, gerunds, or pronouns. Because of his motivation, he was successful. Or you could say he was successful because of his motivation. So, because of plus noun phrase. As a result of working hard, she was promoted at work. So here I have a gerund after as a result of. In addition to helping customers, she also works in the back room. This is the same as saying also, but you're saying in addition to this, she also does that. As well as, I like talking to customers as well as stocking new items. This is the same meaning as also. Despite is similar to although or but or however. Despite his motivation, he wasn't successful. So this word here shows contrast. Even though he had motivation, he wasn't successful. Or you could say, in spite of working hard, she did not get a promotion at work. Despite and in spite of have the same meaning. So remember, with these phrases, we follow it with a noun, gerund, or pronoun. Let's practice. How can we combine these sentences with because of? William went to cooking school. He wants to be a chef. William went to cooking school because of his dream to be a chef. So I'm linking the two ideas. Or you can begin the sentence with that part. Because of his dream to be a chef, William went to cooking school. How can we combine these sentences with in addition to and in addition? William can cook savory dishes. He can make nice desserts. So these are two additional ideas. William can make nice desserts in addition to savory dishes. William can cook savory dishes, period. In addition, he can make nice desserts. Remember, when you use in addition to, it's followed by a noun. When we use in addition by itself without the to, it's followed by a complete sentence. So these are two types of transitional words and phrases. Some are followed by nouns and gerunds, and these ones, they begin a sentence. They're followed by a complete sentence. The second strategy is to use pointing words like this or that or those or these, such, it, there, he, she, another. So it's like you're pointing to words you mentioned previously. William wants to be a chef. He went to cooking school. So this is what we had before, sort of the same. You begin each sentence the same way. But we can change that by using this and he. William wants to be a chef. This is why he went to cooking school. So this is referring to his want to be a chef. And then he refers back to William. So we use these pointing words to connect one sentence to the next sentence. Let's practice. What is the pointing word and what does it point to? William loves cooking. This is his passion. So this is my pointing word. It's referring back to cooking, and his is referring back to William. The third strategy is to use key terms and phrases. To connect ideas, you should repeat the key terms and phrases depending on your topic. William loves cooking and this is his passion. His dream is to become an executive chef one day. In order to achieve his goal, he will enroll in a culinary school to learn the proper cooking techniques in the kitchen. He wants to become skilled in both savory and desserts. So here I have words that are related to the topic, cooking, dream, and then later instead of dream, I refer to it as his goal, this goal, referring to this dream right here to be a chef. Culinary school, cooking techniques, kitchen, skilled, savory, desserts. So these are all related to the topic. You want to try to find synonyms and words related to make sure that the ideas are linked in your paragraph. And it creates a sort of unity, bringing everything together. We can use these strategies to connect sentences in a paragraph, but also paragraphs in a larger essay. For example, let's say you're writing an essay about ways to learn English. Your first paragraph might begin with, one strategy to learn English is to take classes. Your second paragraph could say, another strategy to learn English is to watch movies in your free time. So I'm linking. I have this pointing word, another. I'm linking back to my previous paragraph, and I'm using some of the same words. Paragraph 3. In addition to classes and videos, making friends is a great way to improve English. Instead of saying strategy, I'm saying a great way. These are key terms and phrases related to my topic. And I use this transition in addition to. So another is referring back to one strategy. Here's another strategy. And then I'm referring back to the classes in my first paragraph. In addition to classes and videos, making friends is a great way to improve English. This is going to be my third point, but I'm reminding the reader of what I talked about before. So I'm connecting the ideas across paragraphs. Let's now wrap up everything by taking a look at a revised paragraph. We saw that first one with William, he. Let's look at this revised one and notice what strategies were used to make this paragraph flow smoothly and connect ideas. What were the transition words, pointing words, key terms, and phrases? William loves cooking, especially for his family and friends. He prepares dinner every night for his family and sometimes has dinner parties for friends. This is fun for him, not extra work. He is a good chef. However, he wants to take cooking classes to learn new culinary skills. One day, he wants to open his own restaurant. So this is the revised paragraph. What do you notice? Are there any transition words? Here's one, however. He's a good chef, however, he wants to learn more. Are there any pointing words? This, yeah, this is fun for him. What does this refer to? It refers to the dinner parties and cooking dinner for his family every night. And also we have, instead of William, you can refer to his family or fun for him. It's linking ideas. There are also key terms and phrases. Cooking, dinner, chef, cooking classes, culinary skills, restaurant. Let's sum up what we've learned. When you write, work on connecting sentences and paragraphs so that your text flows smoothly. You can use these strategies to help you. Transition words and phrases, pointing words, key terms and phrases. Thanks for watching.